Hey everyone, it's Jasmine from Jasmine's Garden. I've gotten a couple questions about how I have started my plants. So this is not going to be the usual where I invite you inside my home, but I will today since I just finished working outside and it's rainy and I need to pause anyways. And I will show you a little bit about my setup and how I do things. So here's my dining room, and most of my stuff has been planted out now. I really just have peppers left and then the odd cold hardy veg that I brought back in. And so we'll start over here. So I have 4 shelves left. It started off with 6. I just got this rack at Costco. And then these lights, I have 10 of them. So I had the tomatoes on the top just a few days ago, really. So that's why I have them set up on the roof, and just to give them more height because they were getting tall. The tinfoils all around is to help refract the light and just to optimize my energy output because it can be expensive running all these lights. I had 10, 2 on top, 2 on the second shelf, and then these ones, I haven't taken the lights down, so I'll show you them. But, oh no, I have taken the lights down, so they were hanging. And at one point, when I was growing tomatoes for a friend, I had lights hanging from this corner and the plants were sitting on the ground there. So right now I'm just using these 2, and they're being hardened off right now. So I'm gonna be taking this down soon. And right down here, I'm just using it as a little drying rack for my kids' paintings. Yeah, so these are my peppers indoors. And peppers and tomatoes, when you start them off in the seeding stage, this is the seeding stage, but these are not peppers or tomatoes. These are my cold hardy veg that are on there. These are the second wave of cold hardy veg. Here's some cucumbers. But it gives you an idea of like how close to the lights you put them. So you want them, your seedlings, just a couple inches away so that they don't go leggy on you. But you don't want them so close, like you don't want them to be touching like this. I did have some of my tomatoes touching the roof ones, and they got burnt. So the leaves won't recover, but they'll grow new leaves and it'll be fine. But you can see, actually, I think I have an example. I'm just gonna set my phone down and grab a pepper to show you what burnt leaves look like. Okay, so this guy has recovered a ton. This one is my tallest one right now indoors. I think it's my Sugar Rush Peach. So it's not the best example, but you'll see if you look at the foliage, it's nice and dark down below, and it gets lighter, and new leaves are lighter in general, but yeah, they've already recovered. This is a bad example, but they get really light and yellow, and sometimes you can even get like flaky leaf cracking, like dead leaves from touching lights, and they're actually burning. So as I was saying, in the seedling stage, you want your tomatoes and peppers to be really close to the lights, but not too close, so just a couple inches. And you want your lights to be turned on. Now I have a timer on my lights so that I just set what time it turns on, what time it turns off, and every single day it goes through that cycle. So you want them turned on for about 18 hours at the beginning. And the idea is, so lights don't put out as much energy that a plant can absorb as the sun. It's like, with the top quality lights, it's like half that the sun can provide. So you want them on for 18 hours a day and nice and close, so that when they pop through the soil, immediately they can start grabbing energy with their photosynthesis through the lights, because all of their energy, when they get planted as a seed, is stored in that seed. And until they get through the soil and start reaching for the light, it's all in those first set of leaves. It's not even their true set of leaves. It's their cotyledon. I'll have to write the word at the bottom in the description because I can never pronounce it. Yeah, so all their energy is stored inside to begin with until they actually start pushing through and start producing true sets of leaves that they get from photosynthesis from the sun or artificial light here. So you really got to provide them with the best opportunity, with the most resources that you can provide at the beginning for them to get going. Once they get bigger, I think I waited until they were close to probably about like 6 inches, 5-6 inches. Then I reduced it to 16 hours a day. And at this stage, when they're this big, like this one at the very back, it's probably about probably close to like 22 inches tall. I think my smallest ones, honestly, like my squattiest ones, are still like a foot tall. So they're quite big. So I can reduce it to 12 hours, but with the exception of right now, because it's raining a significant amount now, and they've already done their outdoor time. Bringing them in, I just put the lights on when they're inside, and then I'll turn it off manually. But because they're getting the outdoor sun now, I don't have my lights on that much. The other thing I keep handy is a fan, and it's an oscillating fan. Now I will set it up either here on my plant shelf or even on the corner of my kitchen table, depending on which shelf I'm looking to really work, because it's not quite big enough. I would honestly need 2 to get all the way from the floor to the ceiling. And I have it on high and blowing, oscillating to help strengthen up the stems to mimic the wind, so that when they go outside, they're not floppy and they're not going to get, or they're less likely to get broken from the wind. And you can see, like these have nice stocky stems. So that's because I've been strengthening them. And when I push them, like I can push them a decent amount and they're not breaking. Whereas if you had one that you weren't working, just like that little bit with your finger, like you'd snap the stem. So yeah, I keep that on. Now, when I had my plants all inside before they were planted out just a couple days ago, the fan was on probably like 8 hours a day. I turned it on in the morning right after my kids had breakfast at the table, so it didn't bug them. And I would turn it off after I put them to bed. And when I sit down to watch TV, I would remember to turn them off because it's a little noisy. Yeah, so that's another handy tool. It also helps with, because in your house, watering, if you overwater by accident, there's not the wind and it's just too controlled of an environment that you won't have the air leaching out the moisture as much as if you were outside. So it's harder to dry them out. So it helps with, if you accidentally overwater them, it will dry your soil out a little bit better. So because I'm already right here in my house, I will show you my houseplants quickly and just tell you what kinds they are, since I do have people ask me about my houseplants a lot. This beauty right here is a kalanchoe that my friend Kat gave me, and this is about the 3rd time it's flowering already, and I only got it like 6 months ago. It is just putting off a show right now. That's why I have it on my table, because it's the special one that I want to get extra attention. And that's a cute little pot my kids made me for Mother's Day last year. This one is a pothos, and there's 4 different varieties in there, and you kind of train them to climb. So you weave them a little bit, and they're a vining plant. So they'll either hang down if you want it hanging, or they'll start climbing up with their little tendrils they give off. Here is a snake plant, and I've propagated a little piece of the kalanchoe. I just snipped it off Use some, well, I calloused it over, so you dry it out for like 3 days. Use some rooting hormone, you dip it in and then put it in soil and it's rooted. So that I did like probably almost 2 months ago now. And it only had 4 leaves at the time, just those base 4. So it's gotten a lot of new growth. And I do that so that I could share with neighbors and stuff. This one is gorgeous, and I gave it a huge trim because I propagated a lot and gave them to friends. I hate the name of it. It's called a wandering Jew. I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable saying that. It just doesn't sound nice. So the reason it's called that is because way back when, like 200 years ago or so, it was a very common houseplant that housewives would get, and they'd clip off and share with their friends, and that's where it got the name Wandering Jew, was because it wanders around and people shared it a lot, so it moved from household to household. So I call it my purple plant, and that's what the kids have learned it as. Here's a few spiders. I gave these to Hudson and Amaryllis to take care of, and they were in the room for a while, and then they were misbehaving with them, so I brought them back down. Here's a bonsai. I got this one for Ryan a long time ago. We neglected it for a good like 5 years, so it's super stretched out, and I'm only just starting to prune it back. So we're starting to get new growth lower down, and eventually I'm just gonna chop all these top ones off so that it gets a little bit stockier and not so flimsy looking. This giant one is a dwarf banana tree, and it needs to be up potted because when I got it, it was only about here, and that was only in the winter. So it has grown a ton, and it will actually produce bananas. But the thing with bananas is once it produces bananas and you cut the bananas off, you're never going to get bananas from it again. So it's like a one and done, but it's a beautiful houseplant. I have not gotten bananas from it yet. I'll just move it out of the way so I could show you. And this is my money tree. It was absolutely massive, and I have chopped it all off to get it stocky again. And whoops, it is growing a ton considering how recently I just cut all of its branches off. This branch that it's growing from right here was the first one that I cut off to test it. And I cut that one really short, and then I started to see where on the, here I'm trying to focus. Okay, this might be the best I could do. Where on the branch it was trying to bud out, and I saw that it was right nice and low, so I cut these ones nice and tall, and they've calloused over. You can see how they're, okay, maybe you can't because it's not going to focus with all the toys in the background it wants to look at. There we go. So those have calloused, and here you can see little buds coming from these two. So those will be new branches with the leaves. That's an aloe, and I just pruned this off because I think the last time my kids watered it, we gave it too much, and it got a little bit of crown rot. So you can see it going soft at the top, and it starts lower down. So these were the closest leaves, and it goes up, so it needs to dry out. That's a bunch of succulents that I'm propagating from leaves. So it's a beautiful little mess in there right now with a whole bunch of new little succulent plants that I've started from leaves. Let's see if I can pull this one out. And okay, that one doesn't have any. This one is stuck in there because all, well, you can see as I move it which ones move. This whole thing, all of these are growing from that one leaf. So if I do it again, I can make a video of it. So I just went back to my succulent to see if I can get an example of it growing, and here is one. So this is a teeny tiny leaf that I clipped off. Well, not clipped off, I pulled it off. And you just place it on the soil. And if the soil is moist, it will start growing its roots. And out of the base of the leaf, so the leaf itself does nothing, like eventually it'll die off and do nothing, but out of the base of the leaf, new little succulent plants will start to grow. So that is like a little baby succulent plant coming along. So I'll just put it back. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. It's my bad arm, so I don't have the best dexterity. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so that's where it came from. It was just sitting on top. It was actually upside down, so I had to help it along. Kind of tuck it in, and you can mist it because they don't like being very wet. And you can see other leaves that I've knocked off to see if they'll produce. Whoop, okay, well, there's another one we'll just do. So it's not a big deal if you knock off a leaf. Just put it on moist soil and give it a little spritz, and it'll start. Let's see if this one's doing it. Growing roots. Oh yeah, that one's. You can see little roots coming out of the base. I have to say, for a camera phone, this camera does pretty good for quality. So it's not the easiest camera to use, but it works. Anyways, I just wanted to add that into the video. As I was editing it, I went back and I looked at this plant, wondering if I can find anything for an example. This is a little hawthorn I got in a houseplant swap, and they grow super slow, and it's really tiny, and it's like quadrupled in how, not so much the size, but like the new leaves. When I got it, it only had like 5 leaves, and there's a ton now. And same thing, I got this winter, so it's growing fast. This is a dragon fruit started from seed that I got in a, once again, a little plant swap. And it was the size of this when I got it. And that was this winter. So it's growing fast. But they need to be supported, and they're very, very breakable. So we'll see if it survives my household. These 3 are Amaryllis that I got this Christmas at Costco, and after they bloomed, they were in wax. After they bloomed, I took the wax off and I potted them up. So these should flower again in the new year, or I guess this fall actually. If I'm still around, I'll do a video. Well, if this channel's still around, I'll do a video of what to do at that point for them. So right now they just have toilet paper rolls on them to support their leaves, because their leaves get so big that they bend over and flop over, and if they get crimped off, it can kill the leaf, and it needs the leaf to get all the resources to its bulb, so that in the fall when you cut back all the leaves to have it reflower for you, it will have enough energy to survive. And then this is my spider plant that's going nuts right now and flowering. And I think most of the flowers are, whoops. I think most of the flowers are done. And now we're getting little baby spider plants off it at the ends. Yeah, it was pretty. Oh, we got a couple of flowers still hanging in there that are gonna open. But yeah, it was really pretty. Just these little teeny tiny white flowers. And it's very happy in this corner. And my other house plants are over near my kids, so I just got to get set up first. All right, this one is just an ivy. I don't know any specifics about its name. It was just labeled ivy. I got it at the greenhouse, but it's beautiful. It will start hanging, and once it starts getting bigger and hanging over more, I'll put it in a hanging basket and get it up and have it be displayed pretty. This one has gone through so much pest pressure this summer with spider mites and mealybugs that half its leaves are gone now, but it's called a curly croton, and the more sun it gets, the brighter it is. The new leaves come out green, and then they start getting color like these ones. But I don't know if it's just because of the health of the plant, but they're not, the new leaves aren't coming out curly. Like, these ones still have some curl to them. I guess those are, maybe it just needs to get bigger before it starts curling. These are some of the original leaves that came when I actually got it. Those are, I think that's like the only one left. Everything else I've had to pick off, or it's fallen off, or my kids have picked it off. But it's finally healthy again and bug-free. It's just a little bit naked is all. So that's all I have for today with the indoor houseplants and the grow shelf is what I call it. I hope there was something in there that you guys find value in and can help you with maybe your own gardening. If not, maybe it's just some pretty plants to look at, and that's not bad either. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.